Om Shruti-Smriti-Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat-Padam Shankaram Loka-Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Namah Pranavarthaya Shuddha Jnanaikamurtaye Nirmalaya Prashantaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Hare Om Swamiji.
Om Om.
Hare Om sir.
Om. You can close your eyes and imagine the same big hall, Yajna hall, where the yajna is taking place, and all the dakshina is being given away. And everybody is sitting there, all the brahmanas are sitting there, the Ritviks are sitting there, and as the Yajamana, Vajashrava is sitting there doing the yajna and giving away dhanam. And there is his son, very interesting stage of his life, sometimes childish, sometimes very mature. At some point, he goes into contemplative thinking and he says, what are these kind of dhanam being given at this point of time? Useless cows which have lived their life, they will only be expense to the people who get it. They get no value out of this. Why can't I be given away? I'm also a possession of my father. And with this thought, he starts nagging his father. Who will you give it to? Whom will you give it to? Whom will you give it to? I don't know who else is there, the Yajna Kundai, but you can imagine whoever you want. Or relatives, maybe Vajashrava's wife is sitting there as well. Very likely, there's no mention of it in the Upanishad itself. But very likely she'll also be there. And then in irritation, Vajashrava tells his son, I will give you to Mrityu. Meaning, the Devata, Kala Devata, Lord Yama. Once again, this very interesting child goes into a contemplative soliloquy and says, what are my values? What are my strengths? What can I do? Looks at himself, a sort of self-analysis. And the second part of that verse, he thinks that my father is going to give me away to Lord Yama. Of what value am I to Lord Yama? These are my strengths. Maybe he's thinking, I'll be only as valueless as these cows that are being given away to the Brahmanas. Why is my father saying, I'll give it to Lord Yama? What kind of errands can I run? Really speaking, if you think about what Lord Yama does, there are probably a few things he can do. But he concludes that I am of no value to Lord Yama. And my father is not the kind of person who will give away things which are valueless to anybody. Therefore, my father clearly has said this in anger. I will give you to Lord Yama. He didn't mean it. He didn't literally mean that he will give me away to Lord Yama. That's the conclusion he draws. But his contemplation doesn't stop there. He concluded that his father said, I will give it to Lord Yama in the middle of the Dakshina process. And yet he concludes, my father did not mean it. He continues to think, even though my father did not mean to give me away to Lord Yama because I'm of no value to him, he has made this commitment, a verbal commitment, that he will give me away to Lord Yama. Under no conditions can this be withdrawn. He has to give me away to Lord Yama. But he can't just get up and go to Lord Yama because he's drawn this conclusion that he's been given away to Lord Yama. He wants his father's permission. Although his father did not mean it when he said, I'll give to Lord Yama, he definitely wants his permission. Not only does he want his permission, to go to Lord Yama is not easy. How do you go to Lord Yama? He's under Loka. How do you go to another Loka? Normally, Lord Yama has to come and fetch you. Or one of his minions has to come and fetch you. Fetch you meaning what? The body is gone, fetch the jiva. How do I actually go to Lord Yama? There also, his father has to, because of his tapas, of all the yajna that he's done, of all the annadanam that he's done, all the punyas he's gained, that tapas has given him the power to actually send his son to Yamaloka, Lord Yama's place. So his father has to send him. So not only does he want his father's permission, but he can't go on his own. He has to go, he has to be sent by Vajashravas. So after all this contemplative thinking, he goes back to his father. I know you gave me away, or you said you will give me away in anger. You did not mean it. I have reached that conclusion. Even then, this is a commitment that you have made. You cannot back out. Nor can I back out. I cannot say my father said this in anger. This is invalid statement. No. I have to go and serve Lord Yama as best as I can. So, between that last verse and the next verse, where he argues with his father, not argues really, but he tries to show his father why it is important that he is sent to Lord Yama now under these conditions. Why you cannot back out of that statement. That connection, Shankaracharya brings, we read that in the last class, Tathapi tat pituhu vachaha mrishama bhoot ityevam matva, understanding that despite the fact that this was a commitment made in anger, a statement, not even a commitment, statement made in anger, the father cannot withdraw the statement. Because that would be falsification of a statement made by Vachasravas. Iti matva shokavishtam pitaram paridevana purvakam aha. Approaches his father, who is already shokavishtam. His father realized that he made a statement. His father is also a well-read, erudite person. He knows that under no circumstances can he really withdraw his statement. So he's already in great grief. I have said, I'll send my son to Lord Yama. How can I do that? That's a huge, huge thing. He's already wondering what to do, how to deal with the situation. Shokavishtam pitaram. The child is also disturbed. Paridevana purvakam aha. Tells his father. His father is already in grief. He says, Shokavishtam pitaram, oh kim ayoktam. What did I say? How did I say this? How did I let anger control me and make a statement like this? Kim maya uktam. In that situation, imagine the whole thing. You can open your imagination a little bit more. And suppose his wife will also have to get into the discussion. She will not let her son go. But there is no mention of it in the Upanishad itself. I can imagine a tug of war going on there. And the son trying to tell his father, you have to send me, you don't have a choice. And the mother saying, nonsense. He's only made this statement in anger. You can't. Will you go inside? Take care of your studies, or whatever she would say. There will be none of it is mentioned here, but you can imagine what would have happened there. There are probably other relatives sitting there who may be mute spectators. In the middle of all this, Nachiketa goes to his father, who is already grief-stricken. He has a very big dilemma. Either he withdraws his statement, which he doesn't want to do because he knows it's not correct, or he sends his son to Lord Yama. Neither of which is an outcome he would like. Same kind of situation when King Dasharatha was in. King Dasharatha was also in great grief. In fact, he died of that. Either he withdraws his commitment to Kaikeyi, and he knows he can't live with that, or his son, who is ready for the coronation as the prince, to the forest. Neither of which outcome is something he likes. Same problem with this Vajashravas. To him, Nachiketa goes and says, Anupashya yatha pare, pratipashya tatha pare. Look at our ancestors. My grandfather, great-grandfather. What kind of life did they lead? Did they ever allow their words to be falsified? No, you come from that lineage. We come from that lineage where we will never allow a word to be falsified under no circumstances. Or you look at the contemporary society, all Satpurushaha are like that. Their conduct is such that they will never allow a word to go wrong. In a situation like this, Papa, you cannot falsify your word. And he gives some beautiful justification. We will read this. We'll read the verse and then we'll read the Bashyam. Very beautiful. Anupashya yatha purve.
अनुपश्य यथा पूर्वे
Pariprashya tatha pare.
परिपश्य तथा परे
Tasyamiva martya pachyate.
तस्यमिव मर्त्य पच्यते
Tasyamiva jayate punaha.
तस्यमिवाजायते पुनः
Tha purve vrutaha tan anupashya. Look at your ancestors. How did they live their life? Tatha apare pratipashya. Look at the contemporary society. How did they live? How do they live? All the Satpurushas, how do they live? Sasyamima martya pachyate. How important it is to keep your word. In life, we are born, we are gone. We are born, we are gone. It's a short, temporary thing. Satyam is permanent. There is no comparison. Sasyamiva martya pachyate. Sasya is grains, corn, etc., and the plants in which they come from. They grow, they die, and then they grow again. We are also like that. Sasyamiva. We are also like that. And then Sasyamiva ajayate punaha. We reappear. We grow, we die, we grow, we die, we grow, we die. It's a temporary thing. In the form that you are, in the form that I am, we don't have any longevity. But look at Satyam. It's permanent. You can't trade Satyam because you want this life. There is no comparison at all. So he says, in these circumstances, Satyam has to be maintained. Come what may. To give up Satyam is a very bad bargain. See what Bashyam. Anupashya,
अनुपश्य
Alochya,
आलोचय
Nibhalaya.
निभालय
They all mean the same. Anupashya. Look at that. Look at what? Anukramena yatha.
अनुक्रमेण
क्रमेण
यथा
यथा
Meaning, yena prakarena vrittaha purve.
येन
येन प्रकारेण वृत्ताः पूर्वे
Vrittaha is how they conducted themselves. Purve.
पूर्वे
Previous ancestors, how did they conduct themselves? Look at it. Think about it. Alochya. Atikrantaha.
अतिक्रान्तः
Pitamahadayah tava.
पितामहादय
पितामहादयस्तव
Your own father, grandfather, great-grandfather, everybody, Atikrantaha, all of them in their own times, in their own sequence, they lived a life of dharma. They lived a life of satyam. They did not, you told me all these stories. Tan drishtva,
तान् दृष्ट्वा
cha,
च
have a look at them.
दृष्ट्वा च
Tesham,
तेषां
तेषां
vrittamarthatum
वृत्तमास्थातुमर्हसि
Vrittam arthatum arhasi.
वृत्तम् आस्थातुम् अर्हसि
We also should follow that same thing. You cannot break that. They have lived a life of dharma. They have lived a life of keeping the word. You cannot break it. Vartamanascha
वर्तमानाश्च
apare sadhavaha
अपरे साधवः
yatha vartante
यथा
यथा वर्तन्ते
tamscha pratipashya
तान्
प्रतिपश्य
alochya tatha.
आलोच्य तथा
Even in the contemporary society, my uncles and aunts and who are living now, great uncles and great aunts and everybody, all your people in the family, They also live life like that. All the sadhava, all the Satpurushaha, they also live life where they keep the word. That is the most important thing. The arjavam is there. What they think, what they say, what they do is there. Nacha teshu
Teshu
mrishakaranam vrittam
Mrishakaranam
Karanam
Vrittam
Vittam
vartamanam va asti.
Vartamanam
Vartamanam
Va
Asti
In them, among them, mrishakaranam vrittam vartamanam mrishakaranam vrittam va asti. There is no mrishakaranam. There is no falsification in their lives also. Not only in your ancestral lineage, but also in the current society. And you belong to the same. You are also a sadhu in the same lineage. There is no mrishakaranam. There is no falsification of one's word. Compare that to our own contemporary society. We are nowhere near that. We make all kinds of statements and commitments, promises. In fact, we make written statements, contracts, and then go back on them. That's why the courts are always full. They have a backlog running into tens of thousands. But that is not the society. He's pointing to his father that is the kind of lineage you come from. You cannot suddenly break that. Of course, there were other people who would break. Like in today's society, there were probably people who are not sadhus, asat purusha, who did not keep the word. But those are not the people you're talking about. They are not part of our clan. For us, keeping the word is more important than anything else. Tad viparitam asatam cha.
Tad Viparitam Asatam Cha
So against that, opposed to that, asat purusha were also there. Vrittam mrisha karanam.
Vrittam Mrishakaranam
Karanam
So he pointed out not only that in our own lineage and our own kula, nobody is ever allowed the word to be falsified. So we also cannot do that. Sure, there are other people who falsified that, but they are not the ones we are going to compare ourselves with. They are not the one. They are asat purusha. Then he goes on. This is the part I really like. That child who is still perhaps, I don't know, 10, 12, 13, whatever age he is, Prathama Vayasa Purush, look at his arguments. Not only does he say that we have to maintain this, but he also says, Daddy, what is the comparison? For what purpose do you want to go back on your word? You are now in a dilemma. You're looking at saying, should I go back on my word, which is bad, or should I allow my son to go to Yamaloka, Dharmaraja's Loka? Between the two options, there is no comparison. When you allow your word to be falsified, it is huge. That is, if you maintain that lineage, maintain that satyam, it is something which is permanent. If you withdraw that and let it become mrisha, anrutam, what are we going to gain? One short life we have, where we are born, we are gone, we are born, we are gone. Another life will come. For that small, useless life, we're going to make this permanent truth. We're going to damage that. He says, Nacha mrisha kritva
Nachamrisha
Krisha
taschid ajaro amaro bhavati.
Taschid Amaro Bhavati
You cannot hope to gain even apekshika Amaram, you cannot gain even the relative gains that you can get. Even that will not be possible if one does Vrishakaran. Whereas keeping the word is truth, is absolute. So if you have any target for your life, whether it is the relative apekshik amrtatvam or moksha as absolute amrtatvam, one cannot get by nachateshu mrishakaranam vrittam, no, adilla. Nacha mrisha kritva kaschit ajaraha amaraha bhavati. You cannot be either ajara or amara. What are these? Ajara, amara are when one reaches some of these lokas after the death of the body, like Swargaloka, where one can, where Shastra says, how do you know? Our pramana is the Shastra. Shastra says, you are ajara, you are amara, apekshika. Because after that you come back. But even that is not going to be possible. Forget about moksha. Definitely not there. And he gives an example. Yataha tasyamiva martyaha.
Tasyamiva martyaha.
Martyaha is manushyaha. Yataha sasyamiva martyaha.
यतः
Yataha
सत्यमिव
sasyamiva martyaha.
Manushya.
Pachyate jirno mriyate.
पच्यते
Pachyate
जीर्णो क्रियते.
Pachyate. Every human being, like anything else in this world, is cooked and eventually dies. Nice word, I like that. Everything is cyclic in this world. In the samsara, everything is cyclic. There's nothing, or cyclic if you want, if you're an American. There's nothing which is permanent. Like sasya. Sasyam iva. Sasya is plants, grain, corn, etc. All of which grow, die, go back to the Panchabhutas, and are reborn. We are also like that. This body that I have as Nachiketa, this Sharira that you have as Vajashrava, these are all temporary. Sasyamiva. Manushyaha pachyate is cooked. Everything in the Jagat is cooked. Cooked means it gets physically mature, becomes old and useless. Jayate, asti, vardhate, parinamate, apakshiyate. We know it. All of us have experienced, one by one, every organ begins to give up. Eventually, nashyati, pradashyati. We are like that. In that, why do you want to compromise on satyam? Yatha yasyam iva martyaha manushya pachyate jirno mriyate. Old, becomes old. Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya. Remember your Bhagavad Gita. What is the jirna? Jirna matters in Tamil. That which becomes overripe and it's cooked. Cooking is not only in the fire or in the microwave oven. Cooking is also in the jata, by the Jatagni, Vaishwanaraha. Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva. I cook everything being Vaishvanara. Everything becomes like that. Everything gets cooked. All samsara, everything in the samsara goes through the same process. Pachyate jirnaha mriyate apakshiyate pranashyati. Then what happens? And remember, these are all arguments being given by a young boy to his father. It is not some great Upanishad giving them. It is the young boy who is talking to his father. Mritva cha
Ritva
Ritva
cha
tasyamiva
tasyamiva
ajayate
ajayata
ajayate avirbhavati punaha
avirbhavati punaha
mritva cha jirnaha mriyate. Then what happens? Mritva cha, having finished, then what happens? Pranashyati, then sasyamiva, again like the same corn, plants, everything else. Ajayate comes again. We come back. Avirbhavati. Punaha, again, punaha. Therefore, this is jiva which is anitya. Why should we compromise on something which is nitya, which is it's satyam? Evam anitye jiva loke
एवमनित्ये जीवलोके
जीवलोके
kim mrisha karanena.
किं
Vrishakarnena.
For this anitya jiva, why compromise on truth? Why allow mrisha karanam to happen? Falsification to happen. Palaya atmanah satyam
पालय
Alaya
आत्मनः सत्यं
atmanaha satyam
preshaya mam yamaya.
प्रेषय
Preshaya
मां
mam
यमाय
You have
yamaya
said you're sending me to Lord Yama. Maintain your word. Palaya atmanah satyam, your own word. Please send me away to Lord Yama. See, much of this is not there in the verse itself. But this is, thankfully, the Acharyas opening up the whole thing for us. Called Vakya Shesha. Even though it is not there in the thing itself, he expands it for us. And we will see why. So that imagination that we are looking at, that this thing he's discussing with his father, who is in dilemma, who doesn't know which way to go, giving him these arguments and saying, for this anitya jiva, why should you compromise? Maintain your word and send me to Yama. Ityabhiprayah.
इत्यभिप्रायः
Ityabhiprayah
This Shankaracharya's, finally. This is how I read the Upanishad. This is my understanding of Upanishad, Abhipraya. So this much we've seen, the discussions are all taking place. Suddenly, the Upanishad jumps. After this, it goes to a situation where already Nachiketa is in Dharmaraja's world. Now, in between, there's nothing. Upanishad doesn't say anything. So Shankaracharya gives us a connecting statement. Having discussed with his father, and obviously having convinced his father, despite his mother's protest probably, having convinced his father sends him away to Dharmaraja's Loka. Some Tikakaras write about this also in a more expansive way. You cannot go to Dharma. In any case, under normal conditions, when the prarabdha is over, the body falls. And Yamadharma Raja, either himself or through one of his minions, he'll take you away. But not in the physical form that you wear. He takes away only the jiva, only form jiva, sukshma sharira. The sthula sharira is left behind. But here, some tikakaras, they say that if you have to understand this whole Upanishad, you have to see that Nachiketa has been sent to Yamadharma Raja in the same form. He has to go there as Nachiketa. Then only the later part of the Upanishad will make some sense. The discussion between Nachiketa and Yamadharma Raja. So the interpretation of some Tikakara, although Shankaracharya does not write anything about this, is that he was sent there in the same form that he was in. How can that be done? That can be done only by the power of the tapas that Vajashravas has been doing. He's gained all that power. You know, we hear about people doing a lot of tapas and gaining extraordinary powers, which we can't imagine. Including, I don't know if you've seen this, I've seen some videos where at great heights in the Himalayas, where probably temperatures are in the minus level, there are sadhus who are in one langot, one komanam. The cold doesn't seem to bother them. Like that, there are many, this thing, what power they've generated within themselves through their own tapas, through their own shraddha. So all of these things that are given to us in the Vedas, the Karma Kanda, why it is so important? It does give us a lot of power, both in terms of samsara and in terms of the ability to understand this jnanam for absolute moksha. So Vajashravas also perhaps has, over a period, and remember, his very name means that he gained a lot of punya by Annadanam. Vajashravas is what? One who will become famous by Annadanam. So he's generated a lot of power, because the power will be used up. You know, in the Purana stories, you hear very often that some rishis either curse people or withdraw the curse or do some things which are extraordinary only because of the power they have gained. But some of the power gets lost in the process. It's not an unlimited stock of power. The power has been used up. Unless, of course, it's already jnani, in which case no power has no meaning. So here also some commentators talk about the fact that Nachiketa was sent to Yamadharma Raja's Loka in the same form that he was in as the child in Nachiketa. Then further you will see the discussions between Nachiketa and Yamadharma Raja. That is where the Upadesha eventually comes. Upadesha is given to Nachiketa by Yamadharma Raja. So all the dialogues are between these two people. Nachiketa himself has gone there in the same form. So here, the next verse straight away talks about what happens when Nachiketa is in Yamadharma Raja's place. So Shankaracharya, as usual, helps us out by giving us a little connecting statement. Vakya Shesha. Sa eva muktaha
स एव मुक्तः
pita atmanas satyayai eshayamasa.
प्रेषयामास
So, having told his father, keep it there, having told his father and discussed with his father, the father, Vajashavasaha, in order to keep his word, Atmanaha Satyayai, Satyatayai, in order to keep his word, Preshayamasa, sent him to Yamadharmaraja's Bhavanam. Eva Mukta Pita Atmanaha Satyatayai Preshayamasa. What happens then, he says, Sacha Yama Bhavanam Gatva
स च यम भवनं गत्वा
Tisra Ratrihi
तिस्ररात्रिः
Uvasa Yame Proshite
उवास
उवास यमे पोषिते
Yame Proshite. Lord Yama had gone out. So, Lord Yama having gone out, Nachiketa Yama Bhavanam Gatva. Now again, you can use your imagination. I don't know what the Loka will be like. Here at least I can imagine something about the Yajnashala and what is happening there. Yamaloka, what is happening, I don't know. But you can make your own imagination. He is waiting at the gate, he is going there, and the Dwarapalaka tells him, sorry, but Saab is not in. He's gone out on duty. Such a Yama Bhavanam Gatva. He goes to that Bhavanam. Bhavanam can be a palace. Or Loka, I don't know. Gatva, he's been told, I'm sorry, Yame Proshite. Lord Yama is not here. Now, he's come to serve Lord Yama because of the words of his father. Tisraha Uvasa. He stayed there. Where? He didn't go inside. He can't go inside without permission. He is now been assigned to Lord Yama. He will not do anything without Lord Yama's permission. So, Tisraha Ratrihi Uvasa. In the pranam, he waited outside in the gates of the palace. Wouldn't go in, wouldn't eat anything, wouldn't drink anything. Sitting outside. Proshayagatam Yamam
रोषयागतं यमं
Amatyayaha Bharyaha Va
अमात्य भार्या वा
Uchuhu.
ऊचुः
I mean Bodhayantaha.
बोधयन्तः
Rather than there's probably panic inside the palace. Why panic? This boy is a Brahmana, a Brahmachari Brahmana. And he's come to meet Lord Yama. Lord Yama is not there. Probably sitting, he said, okay, I'll wait. You know, sometimes to meet big people you go, you don't get a meeting at all. I know one boy, when he was studying his MBA at school in Bombay, they decided that for their annual event, they will invite G.R.D. Tata. So he said, okay, I'll go get him. He went to Tata house. Obviously, nobody let him meet Tata. So he went there and said, okay, I'll wait. They told him he's busy. Okay, I'll wait. He waited for 3 days, like Nachiketa. He won't go. And they couldn't throw him out, and they couldn't keep him. He couldn't meet Tata. After 3 days, I believe Tata came out of his office and saw this boy. And he realized that he's been coming every day for 3 days. So he told him, okay, come with me. That's Tata's magnanimity. He took him in the car. And in the car, the boy explained to him what he had come for. And why he wanted to meet him, because he wanted to invite him for their college function. And would you believe, the editor actually went. Persistence pays. Our Nachiketa also didn't say, oh, Yamadharmas are not there, I'm going back. Or did not accept the invitation of any of those people who might have said, again, my imagination, please come in, sit down, have a cup of tea, whatever. Or whatever panam they give you in Yama's place. We have in Arsha Vidyalaya, if you come, you will get something like Amrita Panam. Like that, he also will have something, I'm sure. He would have said, no, I can do nothing without Yamadharma Ramajar's permission. Take it outside. What happened? Roshaya gatam yamam amatyaha bharyaha va uchuhu. Uchuhu is slit. It all happened, God knows how long ago. Bhodayantaha. So as soon as Yamadharma Raja returned, Shankaracharya says, Amatyaha. Amatyaha is minister, advisor. In the serial that we saw, Chanakya, he is called Amatya Chanakya. He is the minister. But Shankaracharya is not sure whether the minister told him or the somebody else told him. Bharyaha is maybe his wife or wives. I don't know how many wives Yamadharma Raja has, but he said Bharyaha. Told him. They might have been in a bit of a panic. They might say, oh, this boy who is a Brahmana has been sitting outside for 3 days. He refused to eat anything. He refused to drink anything. He refused to rest inside. We offered him a nice little rest. Because normally when somebody comes, an atithi, any atithi, what do you offer? Padyam, snanam, asanam, bhakshyam, aharam. They're normal. Like you would do to any puja. So, Pada Prakshalanam Shuddhajalam, Hasta Prakshalanam Shuddhajalam, Nanaya Shuddhajalam. So, we were all, that's what we will give to this thing. In modern day language, you will say, please come in, baithiye. Chai lenge, coffee lenge. Something like that must have happened. He said, no, I cannot touch anything till Yamadharma Raja comes and gives me permission. So these people have been in a bit of a panic. You will see why. Because in our culture, any atithi has to be treated like this. Atithi also Devo Bhava. And especially a Brahmana. We will see this also later. A Brahmana doesn't mean because you're born in a Kula of Brahmana. Brahmana's respect comes from what he does. The Brahmana's respect in the society comes from what he does. He preserves dharma. He advises people on what is dharma, what is adharma. He maintains Shastra. He interprets Shastra for everybody. And in a society where Shastra is taken as a pramana and moksha is taken as the ultimate goal, anybody who studied this, anybody who has understood this, is given a lot of respect. That's why in our society, sometimes people, because they wear kavi, They're given respect simply because of that. Sometimes when I go on the streets also, people come and do namaskara. They don't know me from Adam. But they do that because the society has built that, saying the people who have understood this, who are the preservers of this. Because without this, our society dies. They are the dharmis who preserve the society, preserve dharma. And therefore we show respect for them. It is not because you born to Brahmin parents. That works both ways. If, you heard this, that a jnani who has understood the Vastu and therefore he is Brahman, he also continues to do some karma in this Jagat because the Sharira is still there. And if he does karma, there must be karma phala. But he doesn't get any karma phala. What happened to karma phala? It has to be there. That law is infallible. So Shastra says, a person who does stuti to such a person who has that Sharira, any punya karma he does, the phala goes to him. Because he doesn't get it, he doesn't have any kartritva. And any papa karma he might do inadvertently, he will never do papa karma knowingly. Anybody who does ninda to this person, the phala goes to him. So it works both ways. So the Brahmana becomes a critically important part of the society. Every varna is important. Society will break down if any one of the varnas breaks down. But among them, the preservation of the very basis of the society is the Brahmana, not because he is born to Brahmana parents, but because of his karma. So they're in a bit of a panic. We'll read the verse. Vaishvanaraha
Vaishvanaraha
pravishati
Pravishati
Pravishyati
atiti brahmano gruhan
Atithi
Brahmano
Brahmano
Gruhan
tasyaitam
Tasaitam
shantim kurvanti
Shantim Kurvanti
hara vaivasvatodakam.
Hara Vaivasvatodakam.
How important Acharya's linking sentence becomes. Otherwise, out of the blue, you don't know who is saying this and in what context. Vaishvanaraha. Like Vaishvanara is Agni. Like Agni, Atiti Brahmanaha Pravishati. He comes, that Brahmana, that young boy, comes as Vaishvanara, as like fire. Grihan comes to the house. Here, Yamadharma Rama Raja's Bhavanam. And these, whoever is telling him, either the ministers or the wives or whoever is there, Tasyetam Shantim Kurvanti. Let us make sure that it is, fire can both destroy and be a very, very, very useful thing. Let us not get into a situation where it becomes destructive. Hey, Vivaswan, Udakam Hara. Please get some water. You are the Yajamana. He will not listen to anybody else. Please get some water for Padhyam Ityadi. So says the Amatyaha or the Bharyaha or whoever is advising Lord Yama. We will look at the details of this in the next class tomorrow. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
हरिः ओम्
हरिः